Today I thought we'd do this lovely picture of Bridge House that is in Ambleside, which is in the Lake District in the UK. And I thought it'd be a nice one to do. So you'll need to grab a pencil and a ruler, and we are just going to map this out. So very gently, I'm just using that pencil just to get an idea of where the house is situated, and also where the bridge is, and also where the windows are going to be. So very, very lightly putting this drawing down. We are going to paint over the top and the lines will disappear as long as you do it lightly. So just adding some details in there. And there is a little stone house just in the background and a sort of hedge that comes around. And I'm just adding the windows in and getting that detail down. So once I've finished this picture, I've mixed up some paint colours, and I'm going to be doing it in pinky yellows and a bluey kind of colours. So I've got a smallish brush and I've mixed up my paint colours. You can use any colours you want, be as vibrant as you want. You can see I've put down a really vibrant pink there. It's just a little bit of fun, and if you use the side of the brush like I am, then you will get the stony kind of effect. We are going to doodle on top, so what we are going to do is get a black fine liner and we are going to put some brick shapes on there. But this already is starting to look very brick shape, you know, all of that detail on there, and it's just dabbing the side of the brush. So this little house that we're doing, it dates back to the 17th century. And it stands over Stockbeck in the middle of Ambleside. It's a quirky reminder of Ambleside's past. An influential family, the Braithwaites, they built the bridge house to access their lands on the other side of Stockbeck and also to store apples from their orchards, which surrounded Bridge House. Over the decades, the house has had many practical uses, including being used as a counting house for the mills of Rattlegill, a tea room, a weaving shop, a cobbler's, a chair maker's, and at one time a home to a family of 8. In the 1920s, the residents of Ambleside, they recognised that Bridge House was in need of repair, and they began fundraising, showing tremendous foresight in securing not only the safety of this monument, but also the aesthetic of the area. It was a great display of public action and conservation, and it secured the little house's future. Today, the Bridge House is an extremely popular attraction where thousands of visitors come every year to see it and have their picture taken. So it's a very, very popular little house, this, and it's so cute. I thought, well, it'd be really nice to paint this, and I'm just grabbing some more paints. You can see with the house that's at the back, it's sort of a little bit, it's not as bold as the house at the front, just because I want it to look as though it's in the distance. But continuing with using the side of the paintbrush, adding some detail here and there. So I've let that first layer dry and I've made a darker paint, because what we're going to do now, we're going to add some little shadowings on the house. So we're doing the side of the house there. I'm dabbing it on again and trying to get that kind of brick kind of look, and then under the eaves of the roof, and then just under those windows, adding this darker shade. And then with the same paint, I have just trying to make the windows look, you know, a little bit dark. So you're looking out, you know, into the windows, and they've got this shading there. Grabbing some of the darker colour and then just adding it into the corners there. You see just at the top there, just trying to make it look a little bit shaded. Okay, and then we are going to move on and we are going to be doing the side of a little brick wall here. So this is at the edge of the river. So there's like a little beck that comes around, and we are going to just shade it in and then go into the actual water there. So that's the water line there, and we're just putting some colours into that water and darkening up that line there where the water meets the grassy bank there. And we are just going to then go under the bridge, make that a little bit darker there, so a little bit shaded. And then we've got a lighter grey, and we are just pulling that colour there, leaving some white in the water because we want it to look a little bit sparkly like water does. And then we are moving back to the building, so just darkening up some of those areas. There is a tree that comes over this house, so I'm just darkening there on the corner, so it looks that it's a little bit of shadow as that tree comes over. So just adding some little dark marks there as though that would be the shading for the tree, and going under the eaves again. So I've mixed up some greens, and I am putting my darker green underneath the hedge and then a lighter green on top there. And then I am going to be moving on to the tree once I've done that path. So I've just put the path in there, darkened up under that hedge again, and just putting in the path there. And we've got some stones there. It's like at the top of a stony wall, so just adding the detail there. So now I am going to be doing the tree. So again, I've got my greens and I am just dabbing them in. Dabbing them on the page just as leaves would be, using the side of the brush, using different colour greens. I've got a bit of yellow ochre there. I've mixed up some greens there, different colour greens, and I've used some that are just in the pans. So whatever you've got to hand, if you want to mix up your own paints, that's fine. And then I've got some of the greens here to just add some bushes, some background interest there, and just layering that on there. So I have let the painting dry, and I'm just doing some of the brickwork there, some of the stonework that's on top of that brickwork, and then I'm just adding some lines. So if you imagine tiles on the top of your roof, and you're just going to put some little lines in. I'm not actually drawing each and every one out, it's just an indication really of those bricks. So just here and there a few lines. Some bricks are regular size, some I've got as long thin bricks, because in the Lake District it can be a bit slaty stone looking, so they are a little bit irregular, they're not your regular bricks. So just adding some marks here and there. And then I'm moving on to the bridge, and the stone has been put on to the bridge face way. So you can see here I'm just adding, it's more or less like a scribble, nothing complicated, just scribbling it on. And then when I've finished, I am going to bring it up to the camera so you can have a look, and you can see how easy it was to do. It's not perfect, but nor are these houses. So that's the great thing about these houses. They don't have to be perfect because they're not in real life. So you can see it all here, and I hope you've enjoyed that, and hope to see you again soon. Okay, bye.